are the same problems that we are experiencing and facing actually after so many years of discussions about adult education. And do you know, we didn't find any solution yet. The field is complicated. Pedagogy, andragogy, commercial problem, ethical problem, registration, accreditation, validation. You can put everything in the pot, no? In the big pot. You can mix everything, and you can have a cocktail, and this is the Italian situation, or if you want to say, this is the European situation. And the situation is always changing. For this reason, I wanted to choose my presentation speaking about teaching and learning in the digital age. Starting to say something about if there is a theory or framework to help us to teach in the information society. It seems to be a good question. Yes, probably. Yes, but anyway, what we can say it is the information society? Well, normally when we speak about the information society, we compare the information society with the other societies before. The agricultural society, the industrial society, and actually the information society. Why we say that? Because maybe 200 years ago, one rich person was one person with land, who was one landowner. So one person involved in agriculture. 1 century ago, one rich person was one person involved in industry. So one, you know, something like Berlusconi, no? You know, I think Berlusconi, no? Well, actually, one rich person is not one person owning the land, but it is one person owning the information. Because in our society, the richness is who owns the information and who is going to live without information. If you are in the actual society without any information, you are not able to arrive from the airport to the Metropole Hotel. If you have the right information to arrive from the airport to Metropole Hotel, you can sell the information to the ignorant that they don't know how to go from airport to Metropole and so on. This means that in the past, to own the information was not a kind of richness, and for this reason we speak today about intellectual property, because if I have something useful for others, I can sell, but I want that the law is going to recognize my property. Well, speaking about that, we can manage the information only or mostly through technology. But what is technology? Technology is always changing. If I speak about technology with my son, he is going to tell me, Dad, you are obsolete. If you are speaking about technology, usually we have digital technology, one-touch technology, mobile technology, and the same experience of technology is related with education. You can remember, of course, the very, very old classes with the blackboard and with the teacher speaking, and what was the method? Stay sitting, silent, don't speak with your classmate close to you, and follow me, listen to me, and then repeat, repeat, repeat. Actually, we have different technologies, but of course, technologies is always changing. If you can have a look, the learning technology too is evolving. The first, books, and later one screen, and later one iPad, or maybe blackboard, then whiteboard, then interactive board actually. And then typewriter. Do you remember the word typewriter? It is really archaeological word. Not anyone is going to use what is a typewriter today. What's that typewriter? If I'm going to say to my son, maybe that you are speaking about telegraph, typewriter, or something similar. Then computer, now we have very laptops or handbooks or so on. So not only technology is changing our life, it's changing our way to teach, it's changing our way to learn. Well, but learn is not one pacific way. Pacific, it means one easy way to say what is learning. Because we are noticing now the struggle to find relationships between emerging some educational technologies, new technologies. Everything is useful for education now. Why? Because we decided to have not only formal education, but we have informal, non-formal, and so on. This means that we can use the normal technologies that we use in our daily life. And if in our daily life we're going to use the mobile phone is good for education too, for learning too. So we have actually technologies, theories, models, frameworks, perspectives, approaches, you can use the word that you like, and principles that are needed for teaching and learning in the information age. And probably this age will continue for other years. What is going to change will be the technology. Probably in the next 5 years, we are going to have new technologies that actually we are not going to use now. Struggle, there is always a struggle from the perspective on the instructional design. So not only daily life, but working life, especially for teachers, how it is possible to implement in learning new technologies. And we are going to speak now about technology enhanced learning. This means to learn through technology. Why? Again, because we use technology in our workplaces. If I am going to produce one man, maybe after 5 years of learning, to do one job that the labor market is not going to accept, I'm going to produce one frustrated man in the future. So I am a very good producer of frustrated men and women, of course, for the future, if I am not going to use one appropriate technology that these men or these women are going to use in the workplace. And I know when I'm going to teach them, probably after 2 or 3 years, the technology that they learned from me will be obsolete. And what they're going to tell me, I learned something obsolete for my future or actual workplace. This is not good educational system in Italy. So every time we try to follow the new technologies, useful in the workplace, useful for having a job, useful for having a better salary. And having a better salary is the strongest motivation for motivate adults to learn. Well, of course, I know there is sex too, but we cannot use sex in the school. But we can use money. We can use the perspective to have a better money in future life. Yeah, of course, yes, sex is always a very good motivation. You know, I am Italian, so we know many things about that. Maybe cooking, sex, but we cannot use in the school, of course. But yes, passionate people. Fashion. Yeah. Fashion, yes. Yes, and special schools. Well, we need accreditation for that. Yes. Probably you have to ask the ministry, to Serbian ministry, how to do, if you have accreditation or not. In Italy, actually, we don't have. Anyway, joking, of course, but money is a good motivation to learn. In order to understand the issue of integrating technology with learning approaches and instructional design, we must first look at the complexity of the variables. And I asked two researchers to help me. When we speak about technology enhanced learning, we speak about any online facility or system that directly supports learning and teaching. So when we are going to use one Blackboard or when we are going to use one iPad, we are going to use one technology-enhanced learning. Higher we use technology, higher is the use of technology in our class, higher is the way that we are going to be dependent from technology when we start to teach people in our classes. One kind of technology now, it is the virtual learning environment. Why do we use virtual environment? Well, we are going to use virtual environment, especially for this kind of job where it is not so easy to do practical activities. Example, if I'm going to prepare pilots for Alitalia or Air Serbia or whatever, I want to try to test how to solve one crashing with a plane. And of course, I need the virtual environment because it is not possible for me to crash one plane and to kill one pilot. So when we have some kind of job where I have to teach people, example, to survive, or how to do the best job, even if they know that they will be killed. Example, if one plane is going to go down, of course, I hope anything is going to happen, but I have to teach these people to react in these solutions. Example, people working in the mountains. If the snow is going to fall down, I have to, of course, I have to create one virtual environment for that. Other solutions, computer-based instructions, you know. I think that you know this kind of technologies. Computer-aided instructions, computer helps you to do something. Example, if you work in a bank, you can count, and math is always the same, but the way to use math is changing. Now we have computer helping us to use math properly, example with banks. So banks, they can fail better than before. Internet-based training and so on, web-based training if you use internet for learning. But the very best, actually, the very incredible future for us is the information and communication technology. You know the name. And you know, of course, LinkedIn, you know Facebook, you know Twitter. We are going to use this kind of social networks to teach to people. And for us, it is a kind of Copernican revolution. Why Copernican? Because in the past, we were used to have inside schools and learning organization so many computers for learners. And we were used to spend maybe 100,000 euro to have more computers, to give to students more possibilities to work using one computer. After 2-3 years, computers, they were obsolete. Programs, they were so slow. Components, they were updated. They were not updated, sorry, they were obsolete, of course, and we were obliged to start again, to buy new computers, new softwares, and so on. Now, using the information and communication technology, we made a revolution. We don't use our computer, we use your device, because all of us, in our pocket, we have one mobile phone, we have one tablet, we have one iPad, your tablet, your iPad, your mobile phone. So now actually we are going to experience that it is better for teachers and for learning institutions to concentrate themselves not on hardware but on software. Better if software is social network or social software. So we need now digital educational collaboration. Of course, we can work alone, but we prefer to work in a common way. Of course, when we work in collaboration, we start to open all the single devices to understand how the devices are working, because normally we know how do they work, but we don't know the single components or what it is possible to do with them. Mobile learning. This is the next frontier of our education, because my mobile telephone is always with me, probably when I am in the toilet not, but I'm not sure. But when I'm sleeping, he is working and he is taking all the messages, all the news arriving from all over the world, all the single texts arriving from my partners. And when I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, the first thing that I do is taking a coffee, and the second thing that I do is look in my mobile phone. What is in the mobile phone? And you can imagine how disappointed I am when I wake up and I see no messages for me. This is really one disappointing experience, because I send messages to my partner. Well, anyway, mobile learning is our future, and maybe something more. But some researchers, they say Spector, Devejic, they found that technology-based learning is quite widespread and needs to be bridged with learning theory. So actually there is a big confusion under the sky, and especially they say that learning theories and associated technologies, they exist within a vague and not so well articulated conceptual framework. So actually we have so many theories, so many ideas, so many concepts, but we try to create bridges between different technologies and different theories. It may take a dedicated educational technology researcher at least for another 3 years. So don't be afraid if today or tomorrow you will not find all the answers for your job or for your educational organization, because not anyone has the right answer. We have so many answers, but we actually don't know what is the right one. And only we can understand something more through experience, the experience of the next years. Why it is so hard to match learning theory with technology? Well, first of all, there is a big amount of variables, so many variables that exist in this kind of kingdom. Devejic wrote some problems, like example, technological underpinning, pedagogical underpinning, something related with individual, social, organizational learning processes, then learning context and domains, and so on. There are so many variables. In the past, it was so easy to understand how to connect technologies, very low, and learning theory. I remember, I was not born in that time, but I remember around 5 centuries ago, I was very young, honestly, and 5 centuries ago, the best schools in Italy, the very best schools, they were the schools from Jesuits. You know Jesuits, no? The actual Pope is a Jesuit. But 500 years ago, the best schools, they were the Jesuit schools. What was the motto of the Jesuit schools? The motto was, give us your son for 7 years. We will give you back your son for all the life. This was the motto of the Jesuit. No technology, or very low paper technology, no, maybe singing technology, something like that, musical instrument. So very, very low technological level, but very strong methodology in learning. Why it is not so useful today? Because 500 years ago, the core of learning was the gospel, the word of God. It is not anymore today the core of our learning. And the core of our learning every 3 years is changing. So what we are going to say in the first year of the university in the technical university, in engineering, when you arrive in the last year, so when you finish your curriculum, probably is obsolete. Even with the best ideas, even with the best Ministry of Education, even with the best teachers, even with the best methods, it will be obsolete. So what we try to do in our experience is trying to reduce the gap. The gap is always bigger and smaller, bigger and smaller. Well, implementing new technologies or teaching technologies into classroom, well, we think yes. Hunter, a researcher, could prove that teachers may turn to technology to help diversify their teaching methods. Teachers, they are experts in education. Like the people in the schools or in the university, they are expert in methods, they are expert in education. They are not only expert in the subject, because the subject, the discipline is always changing. So they are expert in methods, methodologies, and to use new technologies helps them to diversify the methods that they use. And another researcher, Buchan, said that this process is a rapid growth which begins the mainstreaming of new processes. Well, you know, this is very usual for everybody. We change our focus. Before, the focus was the teacher. Actually, the focus is the student. We try to enter in the student's mentality, student's habit, student's motivation, student's attitude. For this reason, the focus actually is speaking about skills, speaking about competences, because the focus is the student. Because in this way, otherwise there is no sense in speaking about skills and competences. Well, this is very important. Well, technology will not replace teachers. Maybe 10 years ago, we were like, do you know Luddism? Do you know the English movement against machines 200 years ago in the full industrial time in UK, in Britain? No? The Luddists, they thought, and they started to fight a war against machines because they thought that machines, they were replacing men and workers. And at the beginning of the information society, we started to think that new technologies, they were able to replace teachers. No. New technologies, they are going to replace old teachers with new teachers. So teachers, in any case, they will remain. But you will have, as actually we have, teachers using technologies, and teachers that they refuse to use technologies. Example, the new generations of teachers in Italy, they are born with technologies, they are born with computer, they are born with maybe a mobile phone, and the old teachers, they refuse, actually, not they refuse, but they resist. I don't want to say they refuse, they resist to use the new technologies because they say, I am close to pension, I am close to retirement, I want to survive just only 5 years, then later after 5 years, Marameo, I want to go in pension, and you can use all the technologies that you want. So they resist, no? But usually what we are going to experience is that learners, they are going to switch on the brain when they are with teachers using new technologies, and they have a great power. They switch off the brain with teachers using no technologies at all. So it is very easy. We call this one the Darwinian selection of teachers. So teachers, they will be selected not by the headmasters, but they will be selected by students and by learners. Learners, of course, as you know, they will be obliged to stay into the schools. Even adult learners, if they want to have a paper, if they want to have a certificate, they are obliged to attend the school, but they will switch on the brain and switch off sometimes. So, and new technologies, they created more work for teachers, and now they have to learn how to do, which technology is possible to use, and so on. Well, I'm going to finish quickly because my time is quite expired. So another researcher indicates that media has influenced the general population so much that actually shaped new behaviors, resulting in the adaptation of learning behaviors. If we learn how to use one technology during our study time, we will not lose this technology in the future. It is like when you start to ski. It is like when you start to go by bike. When you start to go by bike, when you start to stay in the bike, you will never lose, even if you stop biking for a while because you start to use your car. But when you start again to use your bike, after one day, you will start again you will remember how to use it. Even when you start to ski, you will remember how to ski. Well, another researcher said that primary source of information and learning for adults is the mass media. Well, this is to say that in the past, maybe 500-700 years ago, the truth was given by the church. Then later, the truth and the information was given by governments. Do you remember during the 30s of the last centuries, during the 40s, we started to experience what was the propaganda. Actually, it is so difficult to speak about governmental propaganda of any government because we can receive in real time news from the mass media and we can compare what is propaganda with what is not propaganda. What is the risk today is we have the multiplication of fake news. And I don't want to be Trumpist with you, of course, because you know that Trump is going to say fake news to the journalists, and now there is a very strong debate in America about that. But I want to say, if you are looking in internet, if you are looking in so many channels, you are going to see so many news, and you are not able to know if they are fakes or if they are true ones. So, well, implication for adult education theory and practice, we have to bridge the gap between pedagogy and technology. But the problem is we cannot solve our problem with the same thinking we use when we created them. When we created a new technology, we cannot disinvent the technology that you are using now. So we have to find more connection between theory and practice, and this is one never-ending problem. Always, every time, every age, every teacher have to find the connection between theory and practice, even its own personal connection. Well, Devejic, a famous researcher, suggests more research is required to integrate technology, to support mobile learning, personalization of learning content, and the behavior and the interaction of learners. Well, there are some interesting things, but I want to go very rapidly. This is another interesting point of my speech. Example, the first point is that technological improvement does not directly translate into improved learning. Sometimes we have new technologies, we are very happy to use these technologies, we put technology into the classes, but we do not find any good result. Or maybe we are going to use in one class, and in one class we find excellent result, in the second class, very weak result. So, technological improve does not directly translate into successful learning. Second point, the same technology may perform differently in different contexts. And I don't know how to explain. When we are going to use new technologies with women, it is working well than with men. I don't know exactly why. As I don't have any answer, but I know that if we are going to use new technologies with women, it works better than with men. If we are going to use, example, new technologies with young people, instead with seniors, with young people, it works well, and of course, in this case, I know why. Because young people, they are born with a mobile phone close to them. Third point, the shortage of teacher and instructional designers, you can make effective use of those technologies. In the future, we will experience that not so many teachers will be able to use new technologies. So in the future, we will have a shortage of this kind of teachers. Like actually, we have a shortage in Italy of nurses, like we have a shortage of engineers. We will have a shortage of teachers. Why? The average age of teachers in Italy is 52 years old. It's they are quite seniors, they are quite old. And in the next 8, 10 years, they will happily enter in the retirement age. So the young teachers using new technologies will be not so much. And the teachers actually that they are 45 or 50, if they started to learn new technologies in this time, they will be able to use them in the future. Otherwise, in the future, we will have like a digital divide. Teachers able to use and teachers that they are not able to do that. Technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge on the part of the teachers and designers. Well, some conclusion. The struggle to find the relationship between emerging technologies, theories model, it is only at the beginning. And principle needed for teaching and learning in the information age is still in progress. This is only the beginning, so don't be afraid for the future. The fight will continue because the technology is always in evolution. So to find the right technology to incorporate in your classes requires a big effort in the early stage on the information age. So it is just a kind of repetition. How can EPALE can contribute to them? Well, of course, my personal opinion is that EPALE can make this process easier and faster. And first of all, using a very wide community, already active, made by researchers, teachers, staff members, learners, former alumni, persons from the ministries, not only Serbian ministries, but from the 28 countries, because persons of the ministries, they joined the EPALE. And you can find so many of them with so many solutions, so many national solutions that they found. And freelancers, as we are, and people involved in the companies, so people that they are looking for educated learners. This is one educational melting pot, if I can say that. And we want to say welcome to Serbia in this new wide European community dedicated to adult learners and adult teachers. Then for comment, remarks, insults, you can use my personal email. Thank you for attention.